When I graduated, I wanted to go to full-time ministry. That was my #1 goal. But funny thing, doors were closing, and I found myself looking for a job in the secular world. And over a course of time, I found a job opening at Gallaudet University. And part of my heart, I think, with God, and I think with wanting to do full-time ministry, is I wanted people to know Jesus. I wanted to just go overseas with the most unreached places in the world. And started as the process, I started to learn that there's unreached people in our backyards. And when this job at Gallaudet, which is a school for the deaf and hard of hearing, one of the most elite schools in the world for the deaf and hard of hearing, I came in just taking an interview. Didn't know any sign language, didn't know my ABCs or anything. Came in for the interview, just love the people right away. Part of my job as an athletic trainer is I direct sports medicine for the student athletes on campus. I prevent, assess, and rehabilitate all the injuries that take place in practices and games. So as I started working, I started noticing as kids would get hurt or get injured that my job itself would develop a relationship with these kids. Hearing about, hey, this is what kind of family I grew up with. This is how I became deaf. This is sort of my story, and through that was able to just sort of bring God into their lives. And if I'm going to be honest, there's a certain level of ignorance that took place within me coming into a job like this, because I didn't know a deaf person, I didn't know what the deaf culture was like. So to me, it was a huge learning curve when I arrived. And what I learned is that, this is extremely hard soil. A lot of these kids have a lot of stories of church experiences where they would be forced to go to church but there was no interpreter. Or they would go to huge charismatic events where someone would pray for them and nothing would happen. They would tell them to come back with more faith. And there's these stories that I started hearing from these kids, and I started hearing about how their experience with the church affected their view of God. And immediately what I wanted to do is I wanted to change that. And I wanted them to know that their deafness did not keep them away from God, and that their bad experience of Christianity wasn't the true picture of who Jesus was. And I found that my job really was a place of worship. It was a place where when I evaluated myself at the end of the day, I was saying my gifts, my strengths that I feel like God was giving me was being used for His glory. And it was one of those moments where I just felt, wow, thank you, God, that you were more control of my story than I was.